Welcome to Men, Relationships, and Other Fables. If you want authentic, thought-provoking conversations and insights that transform, you're in the right place. I am your host, Nicole W. We learn and grow from those who have done the work and manifested phenomenal success in business and in life. Today I have OMAR WILSON, the Black Frank Sinatra, an Apollo Theater winner and NAACP Image Award nominee, who will share a moment of truth that was a breakthrough for his career and business. We are also asking Omar to share a challenge he faced dealing with a romantic relationship while building his business and career. Thank you for being on the show, Omar.
It's a pleasure and blessings. Thank you for having me.
So, Omar, please share a little bit about yourself, how you started in the entertainment business, and a moment of truth that was a breakthrough for your career.
Okay, well, I'm Omar Wilson, the Black Sinatra. I'm a singer, songwriter, and true live performer. Let's see, I got my start in the game. I started singing at 6 years old. Sang my first solo at 6, and that was really the indoctrination and the inspiration to the first initial spark that let me know, one, that I have something special, and two, how special it is to give what you have to people and get their positive reaction and energy. I think one of the definitely defining moments in my career in the beginning is, I sung from like 6 to 15, 16 in church. And then after that, I was inspired by a rap group that my cousins had called The Lost Souls. And I ended up starting rapping and learning that craft as well, and ended up becoming a member of the group. And we had some, pretty good success for where we were as an independent group at that time. And when the guy that was producing and writing the hooks for our rap songs ended up moving to LA, and I started writing the hooks to our rap songs, and that just started evolving. I started writing my own personal songs. The rap group let me sing one of my songs with our rap set, and then it kind of just started taking prevalence over what we were doing. So them coming to me one day and saying that we're going to disband the group and we want you to sing, to this day was one of the most defining moments, because it's like 3 other individuals gave up their dream that really inspired me to want to be in the game seriously, to see me thrive. So that's always, probably will forever be one of the defining moments that always keeps my tenacity strong, that always why I reach for the best, why I do everything I can to create music and make moves that are legendary.
So, Omar, when you first started sharing about, singing as a young person, and that you really saw your singing as something that really makes a difference for people, like it was a gift.
Right.
And then, you fast forward and you were just continuing to give that gift and making that difference for people with your voice. And music is so beautiful, and it really nourishes people. And then along your journey, the tables turned, and then people really started contributing to you, so you could go on to even make a greater contribution to other people. So I think that's very, very inspiring and touching how that happened for you.
I appreciate that. I mean, at the end of the day, when I get questions sometimes where they ask you like, who was your inspirations, and it evolved into some of the greatest soul voices and legends that we all know of. When I started doing my research and understanding what my voice and my path was in this game, this music game, but initially, the beginning for me, my beginning inspirations was the things that I saw, the places I went. I traveled early, doing music, from 17 on. I was moving around from LA, North Carolina, to Atlanta, just doing different places, different opportunities, and dealing with people, seeing how things are the same and different. So it was really people, places, and things, experiences. That really was my first inspiration. So it goes into what you said about, it's a reciprocated thing. You give it, you give back. It's an energy thing, you know. So, I mean, it's corny, but they say what you put in, you get out type thing. But it's for real.
Indeed. So, Omar, thanks for sharing that. We have a few questions about the real world of business relationships.
Okay.
So, we did a survey and we posed this question. How would you ask someone who's successful in business about relationships?
How would you ask them, you say? Like, what that would be the question?
So, here's the first question.
Okay.
So, I tell you what, we're going to go back. I think we're going to have
to.
Okay. So, you were talking a little bit about your path. Can you say, so you kind of led us from, you know, when you got started when you were 6 and kind of how your career evolved. What would you say about your path now? Share a little bit about like what you're creating right now.
Okay. So I think it was part of the journey part of my journey allowed things to unfold where they naturally do. You know, depending on what you're yearning for. See, I've always yearned to be great. I've always yearned to learn like why certain songs last forever. When you hear them, no matter how old they are or how long they've been around, it still has a brand new vibe to it. You know what I mean? What is that component? So as I started, I probably started with the Apollo. When I went to the Apollo, when I was part of that experience, and I saw the seriousness of the way people represented these artists, Marvin Gaye and Otis Redding, Sam Cooke, Donny Hathaway, Michael Jackson, and all the people that, you know, frequented that stage, you know what I'm saying? And how I was told even before I knew that you have a certain voice, that you can do things that normal people even won't, like they can't. It's a special thing. It's that, like you said, it's a gift, and then you harness it and you shape it into something great. You know what I mean? But it's God given. So in the beginning for me, you know, I had my first child when I was young. I was 17. So when I first started really getting serious about music, it really was about me giving the best financial platform for my family to succeed. You know, and as I started doing things, and the first one was the Apollo, that really gave me that inclination of how powerful of a responsibility that I have towards music, or music in general. And as it evolved, you know, skipping over some things, I was blessed to do a rendition of James Brown's A Man's World in Memphis at Royal Studios, which was Al Green's original studio. And I was blessed to use his original High Records band. And being in that building, knowing that people like Bobby Womack and Otis Redding and people recorded there, and recording with individuals, musicians that have been playing as long as I've been alive. And then after we recorded my rendition of A Man's World, to hear from these gentlemen that knew James, knew the musicians that did that record, to say that, you know, I did it justice and he would be proud. You know, it just added to the emotion, the understanding, and just the polarity of how important what I'm doing is. So then it evolved some more, you know, because I also, doubling back to winning the Apollo, I won the Apollo singing a song for you, you know, Donny Hathaway. And then I started listening to Donny Hathaway songs and a lot of his stuff, from A Little Ghetto Boy to I Love You More Than You'll Ever Know. And just on how he would take a record, you know, because for a minute I got caught up not wanting to sing love songs. I just wanted to sing about, you know, what was going on in the world, good, the bad, and the ugly, you know, the hood, you know, things I was going through, things I saw, you know what I mean, where I went. And I got the epiphany and the understanding that I had to write love songs when the deeper I delved into listening to a Donny Hathaway or Otis Redding, a Sam Cooke or David Ruffin, you know what I'm saying? Teddy Pendergrass. So the evolution has put me in a space now where I fully know and have clarity on what my purpose is when it comes to paying homage and resurrecting a sound that has been dormant for a minute. In conjunction, I'm still doing my own independent, my own original records, You know what I'm saying? I mean, because we were gonna put out for my sophomore album, my sophomore album. But once, we had enough, we have like 4 or 5 different renditions of these records that have not been touched. Like nobody sings David Ruffin, nobody sings Teddy Pendergrass, you know what I'm saying? So then it was a full understanding of, we have to put this album out, which is going to be my second album, OMAR WILSON Sings the Classics, and it's a collaboration of some of the greatest soul voices to ever touch the mic. And when I've done the research, like there's people that's done like a Bobby Womack rendition album, or they done, but never 1 or 2 songs of each, and and doing them in a way where I believe that each individual will be proud. So and that just, for me, I believe it just adds to the power of who I am as an artist, how much I care, respect, and honor the music that even allows me to do what I do right now, and give it to the people what they've been missing.
Wow, that is just a great way to pay homage to those that paved the way for you. And also, I'd like you to get that you're creating legacy yourself for the next generation by doing that. And then you're bringing your own particular energy and love and power to all of that. Like you're bringing it to the collective of all of those that came before you. So this is that's very powerful.
I appreciate that, and like I said, it's a great power, great responsibility. I always said I wanted to create music that stands the test of time. And this is even before I started doing this. Like you could listen to interviews of me 10, 15 years ago, and the same things that I'm saying right now might be a little more evolved, but I look forward to people saying, let's dig back into the research and see what he was really about. Same thing. I mean, I've been on the same vibe the whole time. You know what I mean? Just understanding the business aspect of it, and understand this is a music business, and not just getting caught up with I want to give this to the people because they deserve it. It's all about a specific balance to get to maximize who you are. And I feel like, and I know that this classic album is gonna maximize the potential of people wanting to even listen to my original stuff, because when they hear how we meticulously took time to make sure that we paid homage correctly, and that each and every one of the family members of these individuals and the people that is in control of their estates, which they have all signed off on as well. So that's a beautiful thing. Also, they're going to get what they were looking for times 10. And as you said, it is an honorable thing to know that there might be 20 voices across the world that could sing David Ruffin or Teddy Pendergrass, and I'm one of them.
Thanks, Omar. We have a few questions about the real world of business relationships. So we did a survey and we posed the question, what would you ask someone who is successful in business about relationships? So Omar, here's the first question. When it comes to knowing who to trust and who you can work with, what has been your biggest lesson?
Comes with who to trust and who to work with. What's been my biggest lesson? Mm-hmm. Always trust your gut. Always trust yourself. You know what I mean? Always believe that, always just have your best interest at heart. You know what I mean? Always make sure that when you're dealing with people in this game, they must know that with or without them, you're going to move forward. So I think it's the self-preservation that allows the right people to come into your fold. You know what I mean? And you'll know. I mean, you'll know really within the first 5 minutes of meeting a person, just from the vibes, if it's something that you want to deal with. Like a lot of mine has been on vibe. You know what I mean? And just it being the right thing, speaking the right language. Because people will tell you anything, but it's the proof in the pudding. So that's my.
Yeah, I got it. Would you share a challenge you faced dealing with a romantic relationship while you were building your business and career?
I mean, I had a family early, so of course, had to take a lot of time flying different places and traveling and things of that nature. But, you know, it was all in. It also was the biggest power that's kept me moving through some of my hardest times. Because when there were times where, you know, it was just, you couldn't really see no sunshine, you know, it was the fact that who I was representing and, you know, who I was fighting for that helped me push through. So, you know, it definitely was the greatest power that allowed me to be who I am today. So, I mean, everything that I went through, I will go through it again to have and be who I am now.
You know, say a little bit more about that. So you said that your romantic relationship there's the power that got you through your hardest times. Say a little bit more about that.
Yeah, because, okay, it's one thing to fight for yourself, but it's another thing to fight for love and to fight for generations to come, and knowing that what you're doing, you know, will allow a vibe and a mind state that could last forever. And if I put the correct energy in, which I did and will continue to, you know, it allows my family to believe in themselves and to believe they can accomplish. And they'll be able to look back on things, you know, 20, 50, 100 years from now and see where their foundation comes from. You know, and that's what it still is with me now. Once again, I work hard to do things that'll last forever because you got one shot to allow people to understand who you are in this life. So you got to make sure those shots count. And that's been the biggest propellant is love, man. Love will allow you to do things that you never thought possible. But it's power that can't be stopped.
So your romantic relationship really has been a source of support and empowerment for you while you've been building your career.
Right. I mean, you know, everybody needs somebody to love, number one. And two, you know, you want somebody to be proud of and make proud. So that just gives you extra incentive. You know what I mean? It gives you that extra understanding of why you keep moving when you feel like you want to stop. So it's always good to, you know, I mean, love will conquer all. So, I mean, that's always been the same. That was Bob Marley's main speech to everything that he spoke about and gave knowledge on. When it came back to the simplicity of it, to the nucleus of it, it was all love.
You know, in all relationships, you know, in all romantic relationships, it's not always roses and Valentine's and chocolates. Typically, you know, when you're working to build something, or you're working to grow yourself, sometimes there's a bit of conflict or, you know, there's a challenge to overcome because you know, sometimes people are in different spaces as they're together, they're in different spaces. So
yeah.
Can you share a little bit about what challenges you may have faced and maybe who broke your heart during that time? Or you don't really have to name names, but, you know, just like how was it?
Well, you know what? It's just that adversity. It's like, you know, well, you know what? I mean, at the end of the day, everybody wants time. You know what I mean? So I think that's the main thing that disrupts a lot of stuff is time and understanding. You know what I mean? Especially with this music game, you know, from studio to traveling to being all over the place. It takes time and, you know, and attention away. So you know, that will always bring strife. But some of my best records were written out of that strife. Sometimes, you know, when you're going through that argument or you know, you haven't talked to them for a week because of something that don't even really matter. You know what I mean? Is that record or that understanding is heightened. You know, so I really don't, you know, when they look at, like they say, the bad things that happen now, but if it wasn't for those things, it wouldn't have evolved you. So, I mean, without no adversity, what is life? You know, and the adversity never stops. It just comes in different ways. So, you know, it's like everything. When you reach your greatness, you kind of got to be selfish a little bit in certain aspects, and that will throw some static cling in the situation. But when it comes back around to it was all in the name of love, like that's like a song right there. It all makes sense in the end. It all makes sense in the end. So it's all about, and it shows how real it is. With that saying, if you let it go and it come back, you was meant to be. So I mean, that's just part of it. And if the love is that strong, it will make it through the times where it feels like there's no way out or it'll never get better.
Touché. So thank you, Omar. We have another question for you coming right up. But first, we want to hear your latest hit song, 96. Producer, please play that song.
Ain't nobody perfect, I'm not trying to blame nobody. And everyone out there just chasing the fame. Everybody. If you give me a chance, we'll go back to the basics. Yeah, oh girl, I love you like it's 1996. You ain't never had it like this, no. You want my love, baby. So give me one reason, you can make it easier. You know, you want my love, baby. So let me make it simple for you. What can I do to make you fall in love again? What can I do? I just wanna take you back. Let me take you back. Sitting up in my room, thinking about only you. Girl, just come through. Listening to Black Street, kicking it like we back in 96. Like we back in 96. Like we back. I'm just trying to get you on my tempo. Cause I ain't really nothing like you used to know. Maybe we can meet up somewhere central. You say you waited, but you got to be willing to meet me halfway. You want my love, baby. So give me one reason, you can make it easier. You know, you want my love, baby. So let me make it simple for you. What can I do to make you fall in love again? What can I do? I just wanna take you back. Let me take you back. Sitting up in my room, thinking about only you. Girl, just come through. Listening to Black Street, kicking it like we back in 96. 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 Like we back. Let's start all over, baby. Like the beginning. Baby, let me take you back. What can I do to make you fall in love again? What can I do? I just wanna take you back. Let me take you back. Sitting up in my room, thinking about only you. Baby girl, come through. Like we back in 96. 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 Like we back.
Wow, Omar. So we're going to take it back to 96.
Okay.
And I want to know what was the inspiring thought behind that song? Great song.
Well, you know what? Music was in a different space back then, man. Time just, love was fresh and new. You weren't thinking about all the foolishness. Like, it was just, that was like the time when you wake up thinking about the person, you go to sleep thinking about them, you on the phone, falling asleep. Just great music coming from everywhere. Just the vibes from the music, man. It'll give you goosebumps, or it make you think about somebody, or it puts you in a certain place. So I think when you say go back to 96, it's just going back to when things were more simple and there wasn't a whole bunch of foolishness clouding love.
What was going on for you at that time?
Well, it was a lot, man. I just started doing music. I had a kid early. I was trying to stay out the streets. There's good stuff going on, there's bad stuff, there's a whole gamut of things, you know what I mean? But I chose to, and I ended up moving. I made my first move to North Carolina to start. Got a studio down there I was working with. I was just moving, man, moving all over the place. There's so many things moving fast. A couple friends was going to college, a couple friends was going to jail, some was leaving this earth, you know what I mean? I wanted to try to make the best out of life. So that's like really when I started my journey.
Powerful. So you said you were just kind of kicking off your career right around that time, and you moved to North Carolina. So share a little bit about what was happening in North Carolina around your career.
In North Carolina, I was with the rap group. You know what I mean? So I first moved down there with them, and the producer in the studio was there. And to fast forward, the producer that we was working with ended up moving to LA and kind of becoming a big dude. I don't really want to mention his name because that's another conversation. But so we kind of make our own way at that time, and that's when I started writing the hooks for the rap group. And we started moving around Atlanta, moved back to New York, just doing music. And then it went from there to me starting to write songs over rap beats. And I started singing in New York at showcases and started making a name for myself as a singer.
So I do have a question about your writing. So was it the guy who was managing your group before, his leaving prompted you to start the writing, or had you started writing earlier than that?
I started writing earlier than that because I was writing as a rap artist. Of course, at that time, you wrote your own raps, you know what I'm saying? But it was always, and the vibe of our group, Lost Souls, was like, what Tupac talked about. Good, bad, ugly life, ups, downs, left, rights, whatever's going on, introspective stuff, things that we were dealing with our own self, that type of thing. So when my writing was always worldly, and that's what it evolved, like, you just knowing how to write, from writing bars to measures, knowing how to count, to put songs in correct song structures, so, writing the hooks and bridges and things of that nature. So it really was a great building block for me, and it was a different approach because I didn't come into writing music from the aspect of just a regular songwriter. I came in as a rapper. So it gave my pen a different intensity that I think than just coming in singing, writing R&B songs.
Thank you for sharing that. So we do have another question from our survey. In your experience, can a romantic interest with a business partner improve the effectiveness of the business, or is it doomed to be a disruption or at worst destroy the business?
B. I'm not trying to be a pessimist.
Let's hear about it.
I'm not trying to be a pessimist. But nah, man. I mean, there probably is a bunch of success stories when it comes to, a man and woman having some type of relationship of that caliber. But I mean, in this game, you gotta have a strong stomach and really trustworthy understanding, because it could be a personal disagreement that ends up messing up a business decision, and it's a wrap then. You know what I mean? So there's too many emotions involved. So I mean, I would try my best to stay away from that, just in my opinion, because sooner or later, there's gonna be something that sparks up something that might be detrimental to the business.
So you don't think,
like you said, like you just said, it's never all roses and candy and flowers. Even if it is, even if you're getting roses every day, you're driving a Rolls Royce, your Four Seasons brunch, even when you're doing all that, it's still going to be something. I've seen it. So, that's the lesson that I've also got to see, having every amenity at your beck and call. You do whatever you want. There barely is no bread limit. Still arguments. Still something going on. Still. It's like you don't even got no money. Because it's the same argument. just with bread now. That's just my opinion.
The human conundrum.
There, I mean, you know, with tomato type thing.
Okay. So great conversation. I'm really loving it. But before we go to the final question, we have another great song from OMAR to play for our listeners. The Groove.
That's what I'm talking about.
Producer Roy.
Yeah, I want everybody to dance to this one.
Let's hear it.
Real music. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This right here is a song about how love brings special people together. Dance to this. I remember when I first met you. It was a sunny day in May. Now here we are together. So baby, here we go. You're fine from head to toe. Let me take your hand, show 'em I'm your man. You're my lady, yeah, yeah. Bottles, guns, and candles, and we go to dance. Let's go to dance, baby, me and you. Girl, take my hand, let's two-step to the groove. Two-step to the groove. I love the way you move. Just take my hand, let's two-step to the groove. Two-step to the groove. Back in November, when you said yes, it was the greatest day of my life. And in December, I made you mine. So let's party, baby, all night. Let me take your hand, show 'em I'm your man. You're my lady, yeah, yeah. Bottles, guns, and candles, and we go to dance. Let's go to dance, baby, me and you. Girl, take my hand, let's two-step to the groove. Two-step to the groove. I love the way you move. Just take my hand, let's two-step to the groove. Two-step to the groove. Yeah, me and my baby two-stepping on the dance floor. Forever my lady, the one that I live for. I knew the first day that I met you, that you was the one, that's why I had to get you. Bottles of champagne just to see you smile. Partying all night, baby, it's going down. I love the way you move, watching your body fall in love with the groove. Let me take your hand, show 'em I'm your man. You're my lady, yeah, yeah. Bottles, guns, and candles, and we go to dance. Let's go to dance, baby, me and you. Girl, take my hand, let's two-step to the groove. Two-step to the groove. I love the way you move. Just take my hand, let's two-step to the groove. Two-step to the groove, baby, me and you. Girl, take my hand, let's two-step to the groove. Two-step to the groove. I love the way you move. Just take my hand, let's two-step to the groove. Two-step to the groove.
Omar, that was groovy. What was your biggest
Okay.
challenge in writing and producing The Groove?
That actually, it wasn't really a big challenge. It actually came out kind of smooth. I went to Chicago to do a press run on another record that I have called The One. because they had kind of a two-steppy vibe to it. And when we were out there, we were just inspired by, being in the environment, that Chicago vibe, two-step movement, and understanding that, since, the downfall of R. Kelly, nobody has really touched that style of music. So when we came back, the producers just put together that track just to make sure we had another record in our wheelhouse that was in that vibe. And went to the studio and ended up writing it with my big homie Lou Humphreys. And it came out, it just vibed out. Next thing you know, we had the first hook done, and it pretty much was a smooth transition, man. So there really wasn't too much strife with that record. It was really fun making it.
Yeah, it was a really smooth song. So, Omar,
I appreciate that.
Are you ready for our final question?
Man, I'm ready, willing, and able, boss lady.
Okay. Our final question from the survey is, what are 3 pitfalls you have seen people fall into when it comes to balancing their romantic relationships and having a successful business?
3 pitfalls?
Mm-hmm.
Balancing relationship and a successful business. Well, first, trust. I mean, that's a gift. You know what I mean? Trust, the trust factor will always put disruptions in a situation. Jealousy of somebody getting more attention than them. You know what I mean? Like jealousy, envy. Like, I mean, unfortunately, you only know how deep it is until you're in that situation sometimes. Money, you know what I'm saying? Dealing with money and power and fame, people being around you or being in your ear and telling you things, how to just stay isolated even as a public figure, and how to just separate the differences. Those are definitely 3 things that are a balancing beam in this game, because it could make or break you. One wrong move, everything, that you worked hard for could be questionable.
This has been a really, really great conversation, Omar. Thank you, Omar, for sharing your wisdom. So, how can our listeners learn more about what you're up to and follow your music?
Oh, definitely. Instagram is Omar Wilson 1, like the number 1. Facebook and Twitter is just Omar Wilson. I also have a website that's owilson.com, OWILSON.com. You can also, I'm very Googleable. You just go online, type in my name, and a lot of videos, different interviews, and all different aspects of what I've done over the years will probably pop up, and get a good understanding and start building relationship with, the Black Sinatra Omar Wilson, because I'm definitely here to make sure I provide music that's inspirational and it makes the lady smile at the same time.
It definitely made this lady smile. So the producer...
Well, I'm glad I'm continuing to do my job.
Yes, you're definitely doing your job very well. So the producers want me to throw out a little challenge and see if you can...
I'm always up for a challenge.
You are. And see if you can sing a few songs from a legend named Marvin Gaye. So producer, what is the song? Okay. I'm hearing What's Going On. Can you sing a couple of, a few notes from What's Going On by Marvin Gaye?
Marvin, what's going on? I found a way to make some love in here today. Oh, I'll make this with words. Don't judge me with brutality. Come on, talk to me. Oh, what's going on? What's going on? Tell me what's going on. I'll tell you what's going on. Oh, the words.
Oh, it was amazing. A cappella, very, very smooth. It's the hallmark of a great singer, being able to sing without music. So it's amazing. Once again, I'm sorry, say, what were you going to say?
No, I'm just saying, if you can't do it without music, then I don't think you can do it with music.
You got some great pipes.
Like what you said.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
Some great pipes. So once again, thank you so much for being our guest. It was really great. And thank you for listening. I am Nicole W, and you have been listening to Men, Relationships, and Other Fables. Until next time.